All right, welcome back to another edition of the New Mexican Sports Podcast. I'm your sports editor, Will Weber, joined as always by my esteemed colleague James Barron, sitting in his kitchen watching the gold medal match for curling. But James, we'll get to that in a second. I just wanted to remind you that this week our podcast turns 1 year old on, I believe it's Saturday. Saturday is the anniversary of our
Oh,
podcast
this is
starting.
impressive, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten canceled yet. Man,
Well, I think the only person who's capable of doing that is you, because this is your
well,
baby.
Well, it's because I haven't sworn yet. Usually I swear every other word, so I have to watch my language on here.
Wow,
So
you've gone a year without it. That's impressive.
it's one of the more incredible streaks. It's like right up there with Cal Ripken, I'd say. But look, James, the Super Bowl is beyond us. But I was still rooting for the Bills to win the thing because I thought the Bills were going to play the 49ers. Were you impressed by the Super Bowl, or were you more
No,
impressed by the halftime show? And which halftime show did you watch?
oh, of course I watched Bad Bunny because that's what everybody else wanted to watch. Sitting there listening to my girlfriend's brother, complain about the about the Puerto Rican influence of the halftime show. It was wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful, and that's exactly what I wanted.
I
It
mean,
made it for a really boring football game.
it was terrible, but I noticed when they're setting up, I noticed that the trees were actually people, and I thought that's going to look really cool when those trees start dancing. But they didn't do anything. Those people
They
were
just were
dressed up
there.
as trees. They
Yeah.
just stood there the whole time. Like, how lame is that? Like, what bet did you have to lose to become a tree in the halftime show and then not do anything? You just stand
I
there the
hope my
whole time,
paycheck was worth it, man, just to stand around for 20 minutes.
right? Well, look, we are right in the middle of the Olympics. In case you hadn't noticed, the Olympics started on February 6th. And as we speak, we're recording this on a Tuesday morning. The curling doubles gold medal match is going on at the moment, which is why our guest today is a curling. We've found a curling expert in the city of Santa Fe, and it is not James Barron. It is Patrick Reid. You're in charge of Santa Fe Curling. You run the curling club that runs out of the JCC or the GCC. Just talk about your look, first of all, welcome to our podcast, and
Yes.
we want to know everything that there is to know about curling.
Yes, hi. Well, thank you guys for having me. It's great to be here. And yeah, like Will said, I run the curling program at the GCC here in Santa Fe. And you know, curling is little known to begin with, and it's even littler known in Santa Fe. But we do have a curling program, and it's open to everyone, 16 ages or older, up to dead. So
Let's hope not
if
dead.
yeah, if you can get on the ice, you can come play. We'll get into some of the details of that soon, but yeah, it's right now an exciting time for the sport of curling. The Olympics is always a big boost for our sport, and a lot of people tune in. And as we said, as we record this, the U.S. is playing Sweden in the gold medal match for mixed doubles, and so that's very exciting. So yeah, so
Are you actually watching it, or did because I have it on a tablet right above my computer here. So if you see me looking up, I'm actually watching it. But did you pause it?
okay,
I don't,
yes. So
yeah, I don't want to give you any
don't tell
spoilers.
Yeah,
no noise.
we'll try not to we'll try not to give away the ending.
Yeah.
We're both watching it, so
Yeah. So yeah, so I mean, we could talk all day about curling. That's one of the cool things, curlers are very, very, very enthusiastic about their sport, and for good reason. I feel like a lot of other sports, maybe Little League or something, or you play it, you go home, and you move on. But curlers pretty much talk about curling all the time. You have to kind of peel it away from them. And yeah, so it's a super fun sport, where there's a lot of, camaraderie and a big social aspect to it. And generally all around, curlers are just good people. Like I've never met a bad curler. We go to travel to all these events, and you just meet great people. And like, even I'm an introvert and would rather not talk or hang out with people, um but I have no problem going into a curling club and just chatting people up, and having a good time with strangers. And um Yeah. So, what do you guys want to know?
Go ahead, James. It's all you, buddy.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the curling club there. It's been around for quite a while. As a matter of fact, I think at one point one of our former news editors, I think, took part in it, Bruce Krasnow and everything. So, can you talk a little bit about the club and just how it's formed and where you guys meet and how often you guys meet, during the week?
Yeah, I didn't know Bruce worked with you guys. He's one of our
Oh, yeah.
regulars, and has been with us since the beginning, which was about 2015. The Denver Curling Club actually came down and brought a bunch of rocks and did a couple of open houses. And at each of those open houses, there was 200 to 300 people, which was an amazing turnout for Santa Fe. And that's when I started. Same kind of typical American story, or at least probably Southern American story, as you see it on the Olympics, and you think it's interesting. And if some opportunity pops up, you go out and try it, and then you get hooked. If you're from Canada or the northern states, you grew up doing it. And but yeah, we started in 2015, and we run out of the GCC. And what's good and bad is it's a municipal program, so it's a program at the GCC that I kind of manage and organize. But that means all you have to do for the majority of our events is pay the daily drop-in fee, currently $8, and you get to curl for 2 hours. Most clubs you're paying, $25 to $40 a game. So it's some of the cheapest curling in the country. But what's really exciting is now everyone has an opportunity to try it. I mean, they always do, but for the Olympics, we have a couple of open house events. So these are free events for the public. Anybody can come out and try it. And then we have, further programs to, develop your skills after that. So it's going to be this Sunday, the 15th, and next Sunday, the 22nd, 2 to 4 o'clock at the GCC. And to sign up for that, just go to our website, santafecurling.com, and that'll give you all the information you need to know and place to sign up. And yeah, everyone should come out and try it at least once.
Patrick, I think curling is one of the favorite things people like to do during the Olympics is they sit on their couch with their Cheetos and a soda and they think, yeah, I could do that double axel turn off a ski jump, or they watch these events thinking, I could do that. But the one sport that I think everyone thinks they could do is curling. Like, oh, how hard could it be to slide a giant bowling pin sized rock down down a frozen sheet of ice? But it can't. There's no way it's that easy, is it?
No.
There's got to be some complexity that the couch potatoes just don't know.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny why everybody thinks that about curling, and I think it's because the pros make it look so easy, and that's why we encourage everybody to come try it. Especially the haters. Is once you step on that slider, which is a piece of Teflon under your shoe. It's about, I don't know the coefficient of friction, but it's very low. So yeah, you step on that slider and you got to slide on one leg, and try to get the rock, within a couple inches to the other end. And so yeah, it's every single person, that comes out and tries it goes, oh, that was a lot harder than I expected. And same goes for the cardio of it. The sliding isn't that hard, as far as, athletic ability goes, but the sweeping is where you really get your heart rate up. And once you start sweeping hard, that heart rate goes way up and you're out of breath. If, as you watch the gold medal game, you probably see Corey Dropkin sweeping the hell out of every stone, and he's out of breath like every shot. So
What he literally just did as we were talking, he was doing that.
Yeah.
Looked like he just got done running a marathon when he got done.
and it's a grind. I don't know how they do it. Like, I mean, they're playing, I don't know, 10 games or something like that, and some of these mixed doubles players are playing, they're playing mixed doubles, and then they're going on to their respective men's or women's teams, so they could be playing 20 something games in this Olympics. And yeah, it's a grind, and it's just like any other sport. You gotta dedicate yourself to it, and spend lots of hours in the gym and on the ice, and yeah, it's not easy. So if you think it is, please come out and try. And
Yeah, James, he's challenging you to get out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to throw me under the bus already.
I have ultimate respect, but you're like, oh, come on.
Dude,
yeah,
I'll go out there and try it, man. I'm not scared, man. Are you?
Look, it's like I told Patrick last night when we were talking, because I didn't want to come out here and sound like a complete doofus, but it's like I think my phone is spying on me, because as soon as I started researching and talking about this with my wife, my phone started popping up all this stuff on Instagram. I've been getting Instagram reels about everything from rules to showing novices trying it and tipping over when they're pushing the stone, to people breaking their brooms. It's kind of a dangerous looking sport, and look, I'm not familiar with water, let alone frozen water. So if you put me on a sheet of ice, I could become an Instagram reel overnight. So I'm going to be really careful about how I phrase this.
Yeah, I mean, you guys should also come out and try it this weekend, and maybe next week we'll do a follow-up, and you can let us know.
We'll definitely bring our show killer Matt with us. Matt's from
Matt's the pro here out of this group.
Yeah, he's from the frozen north. He probably understands curling better than any of us.
I think he was born with a broom in his hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Patrick, let me ask you this. I'm kind of curious, just for you, what was that first time you get out there and you do this sport? What was that experience like for you? What do you remember about it, and how did it hook you?
It's actually good timing, because I was digging through our archives looking for, shameless plug, we just started an Instagram, so I was looking for content on there, and I came across some photos of me curling circa 2014, 15, and yeah, I remember being super attracted to it just from watching it on TV. And then when Tom Miller, the rink manager at the time, got it going, I came out to one of those open houses, and just, I was kind of already in before I even stepped on the ice, but after that first slide and, sending the rock, like it is just kind of get hooked. And yeah, from there it's like it's only up, assuming you can stay up. So yeah, it's just I mean, there's so many aspects to be attracted to, but yeah, just the first time on the ice, and getting the feel of the slider under the foot, and then sweeping till you're out of breath. Like, yeah, it's just great.
Yeah. Speaking of which, fun. I see you have sweepers right behind you too. I thought that was a pair of crutches on the wall behind you.
Yeah. It took a minute to figure that out.
It's like, oh no, Patrick's been hurt.
Yeah, there you go.
So, great pod for the listening audience, but if you're watching, yeah, these are the specialized brooms, and it's just got this, we could go into a whole thing on brooms, but it's got a special fabric on it, and you sweep pretty much as hard as you can, to reduce the friction on the rock, which makes it go further and straighter. And you can also curl it a little bit. So with those kind of three variables, you can really control exactly where the stone is going. Not exactly. The shooter plays a big part too. So the shooter will throw the stone within kind of like a target range, and then the sweepers will kind of essentially finish it off. So the thrower is always, kind of erring on a little light, because light meaning slower. Because if you throw it slow, you can sweep it, to get it further. But if you throw it heavy, as we call it, with a lot of speed, then you can't do anything to slow it down. So you always err on the side of, throwing it lighter, and then the sweepers kind of take it to where you need to go.
The most common mistake when you see someone try it for the first time, do they just push it as hard as they can like a bowling ball and the thing just flies off the course? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, there's many things to do wrong the first time you try it. But yeah, like, and that's what our kind of try curling events are, is to come out and just try it and get a feel for it, and see how difficult it actually is. And then from there we have, continued classes and clinics and stuff to refine your slide and delivery and all aspects. And yeah, I mean, you essentially spend a lifetime, kind of like any sport, working on mechanics and stuff like that. And so yeah, the most difficult part as a beginner is just to stay upright and keep your foot underneath you, because like I said, you're on a piece of Teflon that has basically zero friction with the ice, and you got to keep that, kind of under the center of gravity. So, most people eat ice the first time they slide out, but it's one of those things, by the end of the session, you'll be able to slide and let go of the rock, and and you feel, a lot of improvement very shortly. Whereas, you could go to the batting range and miss 100 balls and never make a connection, and then, go home disappointed. But curling, you really never go home disappointed, because you make progress even in your first session.
For you, what was it about the experience, or what was it about curling that just drew you to it?
Well, like I said, I mean, the first time I got on the ice, it was just fun. It was a good time. It seemed like a cool sport. There's a lot of strategy involved, and shot making, and team aspects. But the real fun comes in the form of what's called bonspiels, which are tournaments. They're just curling tournaments. And, at the high levels, they're big, week-long tournaments for national championships or money or something like that. But at the recreational level, that anybody can do, is they're just weekend curling tournaments, and they really are just parties with some curling attached. So you meet great people, you play with great people, and you just hang out and talk curling. And we're going to one beginning of March in Denver. We go to a lot of bonspiels in Denver and Phoenix, where the two closest clubs are, and we basically spend all weekend in the club. Because there's curling, and like I said, fun times. There's also a bar in almost every curling club, so
You got to have your alcohol.
yeah. So the fun part about curling is broomstacking, as it's called. It's like the built-in after party. So you're almost required to broomstack after a game, which means both teams just get together and have a drink and hang out and talk about the game and break it down. And the best part is the winning team always buys the first round. So even if you lose, you still win. So we've gone to bonspiels where we've drank for free all weekend, and you can figure out what that means. So yeah, that the bonspiels are really what's a ton of fun, and they're all over the country, and they're for all levels. And the first time I went to one of those, I was like, this is the greatest time of my life. And yeah, so now I do as many of those as I can afford. So
Are you? It looks like you're wearing a Vancouver Canucks jersey or a East German jersey. What do you got on?
You know what? I've gotten that before, but it's actually our Santa Fe curling jersey. But yeah, somebody said it looks like the old vintage Connects jersey.
Joins your club, wears that to events?
Actually, no, there's only like I think 3 of these. One of my teammates made them.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, and we're also in the middle of kind of a rebrand now. So I don't know if this one will become a limited edition, but um, yes. But yeah, our sister club, Roadrunner Curling Club down in Albuquerque, um, they have some really cool merch that was also designed by my teammate. And you can hit us up to find out more about that stuff. But yeah, the Roadrunner curling jerseys and shirts and stuff are really cool.
Now you have a thing this weekend, right? On the 15th, right? To get together.
Yeah,
I know.
so this Sunday 2 to 4 is our Try Curling open house. So anybody can come and give it a go. We're having about 30-minute sessions and yeah, come on the ice and we'll give you a quick rundown on the game and you'll get to throw some rocks. And you can sign up for that on our website at santafecurling.com, and that'll give you all the details of what to wear and what's provided and kind of what to expect. And then after that is, like I said, broomstacking. So
Yeah.
we're going to Keeping Together, which is the new brewery off of Rufina. Super cool place, great people there. And they're hosting us the next couple weeks, so we'll be broom stacking at Keeping Together and just recapping. We're gonna be playing some games, showing some Olympic curling games there. So anybody's welcome to come to that too, even if you're not curling. Come to Keeping Together. It's right after the session, about 4:30, and yeah, hang out, watch some curling, have some drinks. Yeah, and then we're also doing it the exact same thing again the following weekend, with the addition of a watch party. So Saturday the 21st at 5 o'clock is a watch party at Keeping Together. So that's basically just another broom stack, another hangout. But we'll be watching. I think it's before the gold medal game, but we'll probably watch one of the semifinals or something like that, and there'll be some food and drinks and yeah, good
I think
times. So
James, this appeals to James because he's into the broom stacking part of it.
yeah.
The rest of it doesn't matter, but he'd like to stack some brooms right now, I think.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Stacking
I'm
a
not
few
very
brooms
good
at
at
the
it, but I'll
moment.
give it a shot.
Yeah, it's funny that the term broom stacking comes from if you go to our website and look for these events, the broom stacking one will show actual broom stacked. So it's a tradition where the teams essentially give it up and or in the middle of the game decide we'd rather be drinking than curling, and so they'll literally stack their brooms on the sheet to like reserve the sheet, say we're still playing, and then they'll go to the bar and have a drink and then come back and keep curling. So
We're at the bar getting loaded. We'll be right
yeah.
Yeah.
back.
And I've played with teams, they stack brooms after the second end, which means they've thrown the rocks down once and then they're like, okay, that's enough
Okay,
curling, let's go
that's good.
drinking.
Yeah. I got to imagine camaraderie that you guys all have is pretty special, and it's probably why it keeps you guys coming back. Is just like you said, that part. It's as much as it is about the sport itself. I think it's also about the community that you guys kind of create with each other.
Yeah, totally. I mean, community is a big part of curling. It's a very social sport, and yeah, it's a tight knit community. So yeah, like I said, even shy or introverts or something like that can make curling friends. Like, like I said, I have no problem walking into any curling club in the country and just saying, "Hi, I'm a curler," and they'd be like, "Hi, welcome, want a drink?" Like,
Like an
so
episode of
yeah,
Cheers.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
it's a great great community. Whereas, other sports do that, but it doesn't seem like to the same level. I play hockey here as well, and most of the time you play your game and you go home. And once in a while, people get together for beers after a game, but usually nothing's open after the time we're done playing hockey. But B, it's just maybe because it's a bigger team. Curling teams are 4 people, so maybe the fact that it's smaller teams, and so you have 8 people hanging out together. Actually, the first Bonspiel we went to, we didn't know anything about the broom stacking, so we finished our game, and I think we went and got a drink at the bar and just sat at a random table, and the event organizer came over and basically scolded us for not hanging out with the other team, and he was like, "Why aren't you broom stacking? You should be sitting with that team." And we're like, okay. And we went over there and we sat with the other team, and we made great friends, and had a good time.
You
People
almost
look
ended
forward.
your curling career before it began right there.
Yeah. And some of the best games we've had is where we've got run off the ice, and we played some senior Olympic champions or something like that, and they destroyed us, and then we went down and sat with them after the game, and they pulled out the playbook and kind of showed us. They're like, well, you went here and you should have gone here, and like and we learned so much from those games. And that's the other cool thing about curling is, as far as I know, it's the only sport where you can concede before the game is over. So if if the score is 10-2 or something like that, you shake hands with the other team and say good game, and you go broomstack. So because there's a finite amount of stones and math and stuff like that. So basically, you concede to the other team when the score is kind of too high and the game is out of reach. You just say good game, and you quit playing, and which is I think is great. Like, we don't have to, we all watched that football game the other day where one team probably should have conceded in the fourth quarter. So yeah, if that's what's great is you don't have to play on when the game is over.
I got a question for you. I'm sitting here watching Corey Dropkin do another. He's coming down the ice and he's sweeping, but you don't have to. It almost looks like he's wearing just normal running shoes. Is that right?
Yeah, I should have brought my shoes in, but I guess not good for the listening audience anyway. But yeah, so one shoe has a slider on it. It's a piece of Teflon, like I said.
Yeah.
And the other shoe has grippy rubber. And there's a thing called a gripper, which you put over the Teflon when you don't want to slide.
Okay.
In mixed doubles, they pretty much stay on that slider all the time because they throw the shot on the slider, and then Corey jumps up and then sweeps the rock while still on a slider.
Yeah.
We don't recommend that to any beginning curlers because it's very dangerous.
Yeah, it looks like it. He just did that same move right there.
Yeah, he's very athletic and very nimble, and you can get to that point, but generally, everybody has two grippers on their feet, and that rubber with the ice is very sticky. And so yeah, that's the easiest way to sweep. But in mixed doubles, because you jump up and sweep your own rocks, you got to stay on that slider.
Yeah, for sure. Well, which part is the more challenging part, being the slider or the sweeper?
So everybody does everything essentially. So we've been talking a lot about mixed curling because that's what is going on
right now. Yeah.
Mixed doubles is a different variation of curling, which is fairly new to the Olympics. I think it started in like 2008 in the Olympics, and that's a 2-person team. Generally, curling is a 4-person team, and so everybody throws 2 rocks, and when you're not throwing, you're sweeping. except for the skip, who is the essentially quarterback of the team, and they're calling the game from the other end of the ice, and putting the broom down, giving a target, kind of strategizing all that. And so yeah, so you throw your 2 rocks and then you sweep the rest. So which is harder? The sweeping is definitely physically harder. The shooting is, technically harder, I guess. Because yeah, you're trying to hit. I mean, at the Olympic level, they're trying to hit within millimeters of targets. I heard at the very beginning of this game, Kevin Martin said, he was like, "Oh, they just got to hit the red Olympic ring in the button." So, I don't know. The button is the center of the target,
Yeah.
and that is 1 foot in diameter, and and if you
It's like hitting a hole in one.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, pretty much. So the button is 1 foot in diameter, and then the Olympic ring on there is, I don't know, 3 inches, something like that. So and she hit it. She hit that ring. And those are also very, very good ice conditions made by professional ice makers. So
yeah, when it comes to that, look, I watched this one of the reels that came up on my Instagram feed, but they showed the guy in Italy. I guess they're pebbling the course or the track beforehand. There's a whole science to that too. So when you're at the GCC, do you have to bribe the ice rink manager to do it a certain way? It's like, come on, man, give me some more pebbles or how's it work?
Yes. So yeah, another cool aspect about curling is the surface. The ice plays a huge role in the game. It's not like football where the grass is, clipped to 3/4 of an inch and it changes the whole game or something like that. Curling is very specially made ice, that's has to be dead flat and pebbled a certain way. And so the pebble is basically used like kind of a garden sprayer type thing, and put these little pebble droplets on the ice, and that reduces the friction of the stone, because believe it or not, without the pebble, the stone would move 5 feet. It wouldn't even slide on the ice. So the pebble allows the stone to slide, and then they can manipulate that pebble, and the size of the pebble and how much they put down to control the speed of the ice, as well as the amount of curl in the ice. And so at the GCC, we've always had very good, ZAM drivers and rink managers that have supported us. That's not the case in a lot of arena clubs, but they will ZAM the ice the way we want it, and then we do the pebbling. So me or another member goes out there with, it's called a pebbler, and sprays the ice down and puts that pebble. And yeah, and so depending on how there's a little technique to the pebbles. So if you can overdo it, you can underdo it, and there's rule books and stuff on how to do basic pebbling. So we follow those, and it's fairly consistent.
I want that job.
Yeah.
You can come try that too.
Yeah, for sure. So when you guys generally meet up, do you guys meet up on Tuesdays or Wednesdays generally for the for you guys when you guys get together, your sessions?
Well, neither. We meet on Sundays.
Sundays, sorry. Is it generally all Sundays? Because I remember it used to be during the week.
Yes, it's as I was telling Will the other day off the air, we're bottom of the totem pole, our programs. So, after youth hockey and adult hockey and figure skating and all that, they get their ice times. We get whatever's left. And most of the time it's been Sunday afternoons, which is when our sessions are going to be this weekend. But once hockey ends in kind of early March, then usually some times and stuff open up. So starting in March, we're going to move to Friday nights, 6 to 8. So anybody that's come out and tried an event and wants to keep curling, yeah, it'll be on Fridays starting in March, but currently it's Sunday afternoons.
That's the perfect time to do some broom stacking. That's 8
Yeah.
o'clock on a Friday.
Yep.
man.
8 o'clock, yeah.
Yep.
On a Friday night, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the ideal time.
Yeah, I talked to the owner at Keeping Together because they currently close at 9, and I was like, we're planning to be here almost every Friday night, and she was like, oh yeah, we'll stay open just for you. They're gonna expand their hours anyway, so but yeah, that was a big consideration, is will we have time to broom stack afterwards.
I'm surprised how long these matches take.
Yeah.
Just by doing the math, I would think these have to take about 90 minutes to 2 hours, don't they?
Yes, well, the mixed doubles is pretty much that, and that's the fast version.
Wow.
Four-person curling is like 2.5 to 3 hours, because they play 10 ends. So I don't know if I mentioned, an end is like an inning. It's one set of stones down the ice, and then you finish off that end, and then you go back the other way. And so in four-person curling, they do that 10 times. In mixed doubles, they do it 8 times, but also mixed doubles are only throwing 5 rocks, and in four-person curling, they're throwing 8 rocks. So, yeah, four-person is a lot longer. So they're they're both curling. You know, the kind of the ice and the sweeping and the throwing is all the same, but the kind of setups and strategy is very different.
Do they resurface the ice between any of these ends, or do they just play it as they play it?
Yeah. Yeah, I at the Olympic level, they're doing, I don't know exactly what they do between games. I assume it's probably a full resurface.
Yeah.
And
I
that
would imagine like little tracks almost kind of get, because you're essentially melting the ice at some point.
yeah, you're the pebble wears down mostly. So, it flattens out, and that changes throughout the game. So it's another, variable and factor is to see how the ice is running. It'll actually, after the first or second end, the ice speeds up and the rocks move faster, and then towards the end of the game, it actually slows down again because the pebble's getting worn down. And so, yeah, they'll resurface the ice between games, and at curling clubs and an Olympic, and professional events, they're using what's called a scraper, which is basically if you just take the Zamboni blade and cut it in half and just use the blade, that's what they're doing. They shave all the pebble off, and then they re-pebble it. So there's no Zambonis involved in curling clubs or these, professional events. In arena curling, like we're doing, there's, obviously a Zamboni, so that kind of takes the place of the scraper. But we have a lot of variables to deal with there too, which is, the overlap of the Zamboni paths and, ice skating tracks and stuff like that. And hockey ice doesn't have to be perfectly flat, whereas curling ice does. So curling on an arena is a little different than curling in a club.
Oh, for sure. I'm kind of curious too, especially during this time when the Olympics really start to get into high gear and everything. Do you find interest becomes a little heightened, a little bit more heightened during the Olympic years than it is maybe when it's not during that time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like this is, every 4 years when the Olympics comes around, that's like, all of curling's, time to shine and market and attract people. And so, yeah, we take full advantage because of the increased attention, and it's growing. Like it's, when when the U.S. won gold in 2018, that was huge for the sport, and then now that Corey and Corey are playing for gold right now, that's great. They're guaranteed at least a silver. So yeah, we expect good numbers, at this time of year, and we take full advantage to try to grow the sport and promote it, and just show how cool it is and how fun and inclusive, um yeah, I mean, like I said, anybody can do it. And there's various adaptive curling things. So there's stick curling. If you can't get into a lunge position, that's you know this broom that's got like a little kind of handle thing on the end of it, and it grabs the handle, and you push it while standing up. And then wheelchair curling as well. Like they sit in their wheelchair, and they also have a stick, and so yeah, you can kind of do it. Anybody can do it from any position. And the funny thing about wheelchair curling is a lot of them have their own like special wheelchairs just for the ice, because A, you want the wheels to be clean, but B, you need the wheels to cool down so they don't melt into the ice. So you'll see wheelchair curlers jump out in the ice, and they just basically do laps around the ice to cool their wheels down. Otherwise, they're just going to sink in.
Well, like this weekend, hopefully we can get some people out by running this podcast. But
Yeah.
I'm going to speak on behalf of James Barron. I'm going to make James go out there on
Of course you
Sunday. Yeah.
Of course you're going to speak on
Good.
behalf.
If you go, James, I'll go. We can make it a whole thing. And
Yeah.
we'll take Matt the show killer with us. We'll do maybe a feature, because I know ahead of that watch party on the 21st, I think people are definitely interested. This is probably one of these community events that people aren't even aware is out there, and it's just a fun option that doesn't require running up the side of a mountain or something like that. It's something that everyone can do and have fun. And obviously, the broom stacking thing is going to draw a lot of people out there. So
Yeah.
that's a
They
big
want to
deal.
see how this works, right?
Yeah. So yeah, even if you're unsure about trying curling, I mean, our events this weekend are free, so there's no harm in trying it. But even if you're hesitant, you can still come to the broom stacking and just talk with people and see what it's about. And maybe if you have some concerns or questions, we're happy to answer them there. So
Nice.
certainly come to the broom stacking. And even if you just want to watch curling, like like I said, curlers can talk about it all day, every day. So come and ask the dumbest questions, and we'll give you an answer you didn't know you needed.
We'll take New Mexican staffer Mike Easterling, a hockey player. Maybe he can start a couple fights too. Since
Yeah.
Mike's a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll just make things more interesting.
Yeah, you'll want to pull a jersey over someone's head and start throwing punches. But see if we can do that. But Patrick, thanks for coming on, man.
Yes,
It's
thank you,
once again, you go to santafecurling.com if people want to jump in and get some information on this. Is there another way to reach out? If somebody wants to do this, what do you suggest they do? To show up on Sunday? Do they reach out to you through the website first? What do they do?
Yeah, you certainly can just show up. The best thing to do, though, is to register so we have an idea of who's coming and can kind of accommodate. But yeah, santafecurling.com is the best place to find us and all the information, and as well as contact us if you have any questions. We're also, on Facebook and Instagram at Santa Fe Curling, so you can find us there as well. But yeah,
Cool.
santafecurling.com. This Sunday, the 15th, 2 to 4, and then the following Sunday, the 22nd, 2 to 4, as well as, watch parties and all that. So yeah, go to our website and you can get all the info.
All right. Once again, thanks to our guest, Patrick Reid from Santa Fe Curling. Show up. It's going to be a good time. If nothing else,
great
it's
time.
the broom stacking and the fights. We'll do that.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and wrap up the show, break down some of the high school stuff that's going on later in the week. But thanks for tuning in.
All right.
Yes,
thanks for having me.
Well, we're back. Look, that's all I need to know about curling, which is a lot more than about an hour ago. I didn't know that much. But James, I think the thing that you and I are probably most excited about is the broom stacking. Like, wow, that's a thing there. It's actually
Yeah,
like a built-in component of curling is the broom stacking. So, yeah, get ready. I don't even drink, and I was excited about the broom stacking thing.
broomstacking stuff. Yeah. I imagine. I get the feeling this group here. It's not so much about the curling part as it is the drinking part.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love the part where he said, "Hey, after two ends, sometimes just throw our brooms
You
down."
just forget it, man.
Like, yeah,
I think
yeah,
curling's just an excuse to do to do their favorite profession.
yeah. Get liquored up. It's the only way
Yeah,
it's a lot. It gets more fun when you're unstable.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. I think you probably forget that you even have to do this. Oh yeah, we were curling before.
well, so we're doing this on a Tuesday, and on Tuesday night, there's a big basketball game in Santa Fe. St. Mike's is on the road, or no, at home,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, at home against Santa
yeah,
Fe.
they're at home against Indian School.
Which
Yeah,
is again this is version 3.0 of their annual rivalry, and
yeah,
probably at least one or two other times they're going to run into each other. But everyone talks about this is potentially a preview of the Class 3A state championship in about a month. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? I was at the last game, and St. Mike's just absolutely hammered them. But
yeah. Well, I think really what we're looking at here, St. Mike's wins, district's over. I mean, because
yeah,
we'll have a 2-game lead on everybody, and I think there's about what 3 or 4 games left in the season, and
mhm.
I think this is really St. Mike's. If St. Mike's wins this, it's over. They're the 1 seed. They're going to be the district champs, and they really put themselves in a good spot to, to make a really good run. I mean, they'll make it to the state championship game in my mind. The only drama to this is if Indian School could come back and beat them, because then it kind of throws things, not just District 2 AAA, but 3A in general. Because Indian School will actually have a 2 games to 1 advantage on St. Mike's at this point, since they beat him
Yeah,
at Capital City. It really is a much more. It's an important game for both of them, but more so for Indian School if they really want to have a shot at maybe getting a top 2 seed. I think right now they're probably stuck in the 3 spot because Navajo Prep has the head-to-head on them, and they're ranked higher. And I mean, there's a good chance that Navajo Prep doesn't lose again the rest of the season. So,
yeah.
for Indian School, really, this is their chance to try to make something happen. And if they don't, well, I mean, I think they're solidly, like I said, in the 3 seed, and all they have to do is just take care of business and win out. And the only challenging game that they'll have is against Robertson, and boy, that was a heck of a game last week when they played each other. Indian School had to rally a couple of times, forced overtime. They get a steal in the last 20 seconds that kind of that gave them the lead, and they were able to pull it out against Robertson. So, that's the only hiccup that they could potentially see here over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And there's a good chance that they'll probably see St. Mike's again in the district tournament.
I know this weekend you're working on a story about Milwaukee's basketball program, which you and I talked
Yeah.
apart from the podcast, which is surprising to see the state of Milwaukee basketball, and it's through maybe attrition, through some injuries or whatever. But this is something we just haven't seen in a long time. Just kind of tease your story for this weekend.
It'll be focusing specifically on the girls, and right now they've got 14 girls in the program, which is, it's kind of nuts to think, because when you think of girls basketball, especially at the 3A level,
Mhm.
Milwaukee is, or 4A even, as they are now. Milwaukee generally is one of those teams you just consider are going to be one of the better teams. I mean, you look at their tradition; they've won 3 state titles. They've been to about 5 or 6 state championship games over the last 20 or so, 25 years or so. So you generally expect them to be good. And then when you hear that they've only got 14 girls and they're having to cancel JV games because of injuries to ensure that they're able to be able to play those games, because they do use quite a few girls from their junior varsity off their bench. Um, Bobby Romero's done a heck of a job, and it's a good team. They're probably, well, I say they're probably going to make it to state, but right now, because they lost again over the weekend to Espanola, Espanola has a 2-game lead, and unfortunately, Espanola, because of the struggles they had early in the season, they're stuck down in like the mid to late teens as far as rankings. I think right now they're 16th. So there's a chance that Milwaukee could end up like as a 14, 15, or a 16 seed. Even though in the Max Preps rankings, and even in the coaches rankings, they're probably ranked anywhere between 9th and 11th. Um, and it's kind of unfortunate to see. Bobby Romero was talking about how a lot of it was they lost a lot of 8th grade girls because they committed to playing club volleyball while also trying to play C team for his program, and it just didn't work out. So they lost those girls, and then he's had just a rash of injuries. It seems like if he gets one girl back, loses another one. Right now, the biggest injury is Jeriana Romero. She suffered a hip pointer against Hope Christian just before the start of the district season. Hasn't played since then, and it doesn't appear like she'll be back until maybe the district tournament, perhaps state if they get there. And that's really hurt them as far as their offense. She and Monique Arieta are their two best players on that end. And really now Mo's having to be the one to kind of carry the load on offense, and it's really affected that dynamic for the Elkettes. So that's something you'll get to read a little bit about on Sunday as we get through the rest of the week. And right now it looks like Espanola is probably going to win the girls district, but then the question becomes, well, where does Pewaukee end up in that pecking order? Because if Espanola finishes in the bottom 4 seeds, and if they're like say a 15 or a 16, there's a chance Pewaukee doesn't make it.
That's crazy. Wow, to think about that. It just seems almost unnatural to have Pewaukee in that kind of state.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's been a busy week for last couple weeks for college news. Of course, Monday it was announced that North Dakota State had joined the Mountain West, and they kind of look. They're only joining for football, which is fine, but that's a program that has dominated the FCS the last 15, 20 years. So them jumping into the Mountain West, I think, is a good fit. They kind of sold their soul to get there. They paid $12 million to the Mountain West to get in, and another $5 million to the NCAA to jump up from FCS. And the recent signing period has come and gone, so they are set with their team.
They are really behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, they've got an FCS roster coming into the highest level of Division I, which is fine. I'm sure they'll be able to compete. But historically, we've seen the absolute best teams from the FCS have a hard time struggling with even the mid-level Mountain West schools. Like Montana State came into Albuquerque and beat the Lobos last year, but that was one of the best teams in FCS. Probably they went to the national championship game, and that wasn't a very good Lobo team. It was around 500. So I think here's what's going to happen. North Dakota State's going to come in. They're going to have a very un-North Dakota State type season, maybe go 6-6, 7-5. They knock off some teams. Maybe they get Air Force. Maybe they get Northern Illinois, one of those natural rivalries. Maybe they take out Nevada or somebody, but they're going to have their struggles. But here's the thing is once they get to a point where they increase their budget and they're at an FBS level where they're spending $20 million like most other schools in the Mountain West on football, they are going to be a legitimate pain in the neck could be potentially the next Boise State, but it's going to take 3, 4, 5 years for them to get there. But look out. That storm on the horizon is definitely North Dakota State. They're coming.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even give them 3 or 4 years. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them by year 2, year 3 at the latest, where they're contending for a conference title. That program's just too good. And I think just coming in, I think they were very targeted and very smart in their approach. It wasn't like they waited like to just suddenly taste success to jump into the FBS level. I mean, they've won 10 of the last 15 national championships at the FCS level. So that tells me it's a sustained program, and they've been able to consistent even during this time with the with NIL. Even as they're losing guys, they're able to find players and fill those spots and continue to keep that program churning. And yeah, sure, it's going to take them time to kind of build up the build up their the budget and everything. But I think they're going to jump right in, and I think they're going to be very competitive. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won 6, 7 games next year, and maybe made it to a bowl game.
I think what the mindset for every school, and this is especially true for UNM, is they are trying to position themselves as best they can for the next round of conference realignment, which is going to come in 2020, to say 2030, 2031.
2023 and 2032, right?
Yeah,
there.
It's going to be in that area. And so that's why UNM is trying to fix the football stadium. That's why they're trying to have a sustained measure of success, not just in football and basketball, which they will in the Mountain West. I think they could definitely be the bell cow of that conference in every sport. Yeah. Their softball facility is dramatically improved in the last 12 months. The baseball facility is undergoing a facelift with a new prep block.
Right now. Yeah.
Track and field, cross country, women's basketball is doing well. It seems like every sport, with the exception of probably volleyball, at UNM. Everything is doing pretty well, and they're trying to get to a point where in 4 or 5 years they're attractive enough to say, well, let's get together with the Pac-12 and form some sort of Western alliance, or maybe
Yep.
potentially go somewhere else to kind of get away. Because truth is, the Mountain West is as loyal as you want to be to the Mountain West. It's not that attractive of a conference. You got Northern Illinois, you've got UTEP, you've got UC Davis, Hawaii, Nevada. Really, the power schools that are left are going to be New Mexico, UNLV, maybe Air Force. But the thing is, Air Force is behind that 8 ball with the NIL and the transfer portal. I think UNLV and UNM could really kind of get to a point where they're stepping aside and saying, this is our conference, and they control everything. So, then again, who knows? Maybe Jason Eck leaves for Nevada or for Wisconsin next year.
For
And
Nevada.
the basketball coach quits, and it all goes straight to hell. Who knows? But
yeah, it could. But I think right now I think UNM has put itself in the best position possible since probably the mid '90s. And I think looking back, and I think we've talked about this before. Well, if they're able to break through and get to another upper level conference, then it works out great. But if not, everybody's going to look back to that moment when they could have gone to the Big 8. When they were looking for trying to add teams after the dissolution of the Southwest Conference, and they didn't take it. That was
Rudy
the moment.
Douglas said, "No, we'll stay here."
Yeah.
Good idea.
That was a brilliant move on their part. But this is their great. Let's be honest. This is their one last shot. If it doesn't happen in 4 or 5 years, the game's over. I mean, at least as far as that dream of getting to the next level, because it's never going to happen if it doesn't then.
Yeah, and then of course last week was just a disastrous week for the men's basketball team. They got absolutely pounded in the second half in that 20-point loss to Utah State, which is fine. You're eventually going to lose to somebody. Utah State's just a better basketball team than they are right now.
Yeah.
But to lose at home again,
Boise,
the very next
that
game,
was bad.
Yeah, they're just not a good matchup with Boise State. And of course, look, if you outscore Boise State 40-14 in the paint, you're thinking we did something right, because Boise State's got the size. The thing you don't account for is their 6'11" center making 5 3-pointers. Just absolutely shredded you on defense. And it's not a good look, because they did not adjust well in the second half for Boise State. They couldn't stop them. It really expose some of the weaknesses in that men's basketball team, is they don't have a protector on the 3-point line. They just don't have the ability to stop you out there. And so in one fell swoop, you go from them being a top 40 in the net, and they're probably in the NCAA tournament, to now you're like, I hope the NIT has our phone number. I hope
Yeah. I mean, you look at a lot of right now. You look at a lot of bracketology updates, and right now they're either the last team in or the first team out, and that's a tough situation to be in, because what that really means is you can't afford another bad loss. I mean, Boise State was the one loss where you're like, that was a game that they kind of needed to have, like you said, just because it would offset what happened with Utah State, even though that's not a bad loss with Utah State. But Boise, that was tough. And you look down the stretch here, you almost have to, you really have to beat San Diego State. I think that last week of the season there, where you get San Diego State and CSU back to back, those are 2 games that you really have to win, and you can't afford it.
They've got brutal games. Wednesday night they're at Grand Canyon, which is not at all easy.
Not an easy game.
They've got a road trip to Utah State. They got to go to Nevada, and they play San Diego State at home. They've got their work cut out. They almost have to win 3 of those 4 games to have any realistic shot. But
no, they do, and and again, that's just how it is. And like you said, I think one thing that Olin is probably going to have to focus on in his next recruiting class is they got to get a little bit more athletic. And I think that was part of the problem that even Pitino had, for a couple of years until last season. They just weren't good enough or athletic enough to get out on the perimeter and really be able to defend, 3-point shooters as effectively as they wanted to. And that was always kind of their big bugaboo, was when they ran into a team that had 3 or 4 good shooters. They always seemed to be able to find the one guy that they couldn't get to, and then he would just go off. And I think that's the same problem here, is that they just don't quite have that athleticism to play the type of defense that Olin wants them to play.
Well, that's the one thing that probably makes every Lobo fan feel better, is watching Xavier continue to lose. They lost again Monday night.
time game, man,
Yeah,
and they almost beat Dad.
Yeah, they're 12-12. They're sinking to the bottom of the Big East. So Lobo fans are like, well, we might have gotten crushed by Utah State at home, but at least Xavier's not winning. So there's that.
Is that just your little update just for your wife? Because I'm sure she probably feels that way about,
Well, I'd like to thank the Lobo shows.
Screw him.
Yeah, I was going to drive to Phoenix for the Grand Canyon game. That's off. I can't justify that expense anymore. But guess I'll just do something else tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess I'll just sit at home and just watch the paint dry, right?
Yeah, I'll do some broom stacking and feel sorry for myself is what I'll do. All right. We went a whole hour today. So our birthday celebration takes us an hour long into this podcast. I'm sure there's about 3 people still watching this, but
all right, I'll have your cake ready for you.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. As always, if you have any story suggestions, just hit us up through email. We'll be more than happy to listen to you. But thanks for watching.